Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Victoria.
Today we're having a little conversation about German market and closely about German business culture. Thomas, who has been traveling a lot, working a lot with international customers in different countries, you can tell more about it. We will talk more about how to approach Germans, what not to do, and more general questions about the German market. There were some kind of questions that you feel comfortable answering. Please tell me a little bit about yourself, about your experiences.
Yeah, born in Germany, spent a lot of time in Sweden, but also traveled a lot in Europe up until late 90s in Germany as CEO for a number of Asian companies, mainly Taiwanese or Chinese companies. At the time, it became simply too expensive to produce in Germany. So we designed in Germany computer peripherals, especially in the gaming industry. Became too expensive to produce in Germany, decided in Germany, sent it to Taiwan or to China in order to produce it, and created different forms of companies to make it possible for a German company to expand without running out of money. At the same time, being able to produce there, and how do you handle the prepayment stuff? Oh yeah, much of that. And from the 2000, changed my career completely into going into coaching, leadership training, leadership communication. And with that perspective, I had different cooperation partners in different countries in Europe. They didn't even know each other, but I worked under their umbrella doing my own stuff, but I worked for them. So I'm familiar with German culture, of course, Swedish, English, and Eastern European also the last 10 years. And I can compare a little. All right. So that's my background.
Nice. Thank you. And right now you are living in Estonia, so you know a lot about Eastern European or Northeast Europe and what's going on there. So about Germany as a target market, why should it be chosen?
As a target market, it's big.
How big is it?
It's a huge economy. It's up until maybe recently the fourth strongest economy in the world. So that's not too bad for a relatively tiny country if you look from a larger perspective. It is not an easy market. There are some markets, for example, Sweden or the Baltic countries or even England. It's easy to actually reach the top management for decisions. Germany has a lot of German leadership. They have a tendency to have a lot of gatekeepers around them. So they're going to get distracted. So it's harder to reach them. If you try to reach smaller companies, then obviously it becomes possible, where maybe the CEO or the leadership has a directly promotional role, more than just maybe a technical role or a financial role. So you can reach them. As a culture, Germans usually look for partners more than vendors.
I see.
They look for something that is more reliable, dependable. They like dependability. So that sense they differ maybe sometimes from the Dutch or from the Danish, who are ready for a short-term deal and maybe even able to skip like a longer-term relationship if you get too expensive. Germans, they appreciate the dependability and they work together with you to somehow get down the prices, but not just, okay, there's somebody cheap, I go to that one. And that trust that you are dependable is something that needs to be earned a little bit over time. So that is special. And when you ask, why should you go to Germany? Yeah, it's not a market where you dump stuff that you have too much of.
Okay.
There are markets where you can do that. You just dump it there and people buy it and that's fine. This would not normally happen in Germany. And if you have a longer term business concept, then I think Germany is a good market. Yeah.
We're going to talk about trust building a little bit more. It's one of the crucial elements in export or expanding to another country, because you have to build trust between different cultures, actually. And that's not just a common sense thing. This German's business culture, we have heard lots of myths or lots of stuff about it. Some things are not myths, some are. What do you think German business culture, what makes it stand out, or what differentiates it from, let's say, the neighboring countries, let's say France, And let's take something a little bit more, Poland, even let's say Latin America or Asia, or what do you feel makes, German business culture German that we need to know about?
I think compared to other cultures, I wouldn't be able to compare it to Poland necessarily or South America, but something that is a bit particular about German is a thoroughness.
Okay.
Thoroughness in whatever they do. They are thorough regarding the products. They look at what is this exactly. So I want to understand it on a kind of a deeper level. It has similarities to Japanese. I can compare that somehow. So for example, when I had Japanese buyers, they didn't buy the product, they bought the process, essentially, of how something is manufactured. And
Okay.
they inspected the process. And they were totally unimpressed by shiny packages. They just wanted to know exactly how is the process and how does it work and the temperatures and what material do you use. And Germany is not at that extreme compared to the Japanese, but there is something in that direction, a thoroughness. And the reason for that goes back to the dependability and the reliability.
Yes. Yeah.
It's connected to that. So, and it's connected also to quality.
What makes it different, or what should we know about the German business culture? And now when you talk about the thoroughness, what images came to my mind was like getting in touch with potential buyers or potential partners. I guess the presentation has to be really thoroughly worked into details when it comes to German markets.
I would say that Germans can be impatient with too much information also.
I see. Okay.
Of course they can. You cannot go into detail in everything. So when the presentation is made, it doesn't mean you have to go into the small details in the first presentation. But what you need to do, you need to be 5 questions deep. So if somebody asks a question, you need to have an answer, and it shouldn't be some kind of sales blah blah trying to hide the fine print. And if there's something you don't know, just say it. They sense it when you try to bullshit.
So how do Germans react to when you don't know? You say, of course, hiding that you don't know, it's not working anywhere. But there are people, let's say, I would say, for Danes, if you say clearly, I really don't know, I'm going to find out, or I'm having here someone who does know, that works really well. So they appreciate your honesty.
Absolutely.
The same in Germany.
And in Germany, there's one little addition to it. One little addition. You should be honest, but also they sometimes expect that if you come to that meeting, that you are prepared.
Yes.
And they appreciate if somebody else is honest, but they themselves have a hard time admitting that they're wrong. So because of that difficulty admitting to be wrong, if you say, I don't know this, and you are just flippant about it, I also don't know. Then they get a feeling you don't respect the occasion. You don't respect the fact that he's giving you time. Yes, be honest. I'm sorry, I was not prepared for that particular question. It's a really good question. Does not mean you become a doormat. Oh, sorry. It's not that. It's a very good question. I should have been prepared for it.
Yeah.
So thank you for the question. I write it up and I get back to you or something.
And you don't lose face or anything. So Germans don't see you. Of course, if it's something really obvious, you should know. You don't need to be afraid of saying you don't know.
It's worse if you have this attitude, if you sell and if you come with a bad answer.
Yeah.
It sounds good.
Yes.
A bad answer that sounds good, like can I say the American style selling, and maybe not as it is today, but as it has been in the past, where the selling process becomes just a manipulative kind of process where any objection is being treated as just a behavioral problem rather than an honest question.
When you said that thing about Germans take the right to not to be as prepared or whatever as they expect you to be, that reminded me a little bit about that our cultures here in Northern Europe, where punctuality is really important. You have to be in time. But that doesn't count the host. So in Denmark too, I see often that I make sure I am there in time, but the host is not really. But that's the way it is. But you have to be punctual too. Germans are famous for that as well.
But they are famous for the aspiration.
Now let's go there. How can I find help when I want to enter the German market? Maybe I come with some service. Maybe I'm a startup. Maybe I want to export some skincare products or whatever. But still, who can help me with the first steps? Who can find me the first partners?
And this is a personal preference, and I cannot state one is better than the other, but because Germans like dependability, they listen to friends or people they trust if you want to open the door to them.
Yes.
So if you are in another country, I would make the effort and take the time to research who would that person trust.
Yeah. Good point.
And you can see it on an individual basis. You can also see it as a category. What kind of category of people would they trust? If you go to the individual aspect, I would get in touch with them and maybe see what kind of connections do they have on LinkedIn. Who are they connected to? What do they like? And it gives you some kind of a picture already. In very big companies, they might be a bit secretive about this. And I have noticed that even my first connections for really something I'm doing don't give me because like on LinkedIn, because as I'm told many times, it has the negative consequences that you can be manipulated.
I see. Okay.
If the algorithm knows who you like,
I see.
it would be a good thing to check on an individual basis. What connections, what do they like? That gives you a picture how that universe looks like and how you can approach the person. And you can see it on an individual basis and on a category basis also. So depending on what your product is, do they believe in doctors or do they believe in homeopaths?
I see.
So this is how I would approach it. The more official ways, you just go to the industry and Industrie- und Handelskammer, it's called. Industry of Trade and Commerce, I think it's called.
Yes.
It's the representation in every city. And they can be helpful. They can give you some kind of a picture, not necessarily open doors on an individual basis.
How should people even contact Germans? LinkedIn, email, WhatsApp?
The German equivalent to LinkedIn is Xing.
Okay.
Xing.
Huh?
It is mainly, and this is the main thing. Actually, if they don't use LinkedIn, the Xing is the next one.
That's interesting.
It is German language.
Okay.
Mostly. Yeah.
Do they like phone calls if random people call them? If I really find that this buyer our partnership is win-win. Is it okay to call or should I send an email first?
It depends on your own resources.
I see. Okay.
If you're good at talking, call. If you're good at writing, write.
Good.
If your writing skills are not that great, you have a lot of spelling errors or something like that, it's not good. It doesn't matter how good your product is.
Oh, yeah.
If you do speak German, it's a resource. If your German is not perfect, that is fine. If you don't blabber.
Okay.
So
Clear.
it's kind of, it's too much. But if we give them a chance, they're willing to listen.
Okay. I see.
Don't overwhelm with mistakes and noise in your communication.
It reminds me one of the Danish instructors who I wanted to learn how it is to make cold calls. Not that I'm making, but it was interesting. So the way he said, simply speak with half of the speed of the usual speech. And true, when I get cold calls or some advertising calls and and I don't even understand what they're saying. I don't know where they're calling from, what they're calling about, and I'm not interested because of that, right? So half the speed, speak clearly. And even if you're not too perfect in German language, it's fine. It's understandable. Cool. But now we go into the language. So is it possible to do the whole business only in English, or should I hire at least an assistant or helper who can help me to make the phone calls or send emails or do the communication in German language?
if you work with larger companies, that mostly are internationalized companies. They do speak English, at least on the higher levels, like on the C levels or C-1 levels. If you get into small entrepreneurs, or if that your typical customer are small entrepreneurs, then the younger ones speak more English than the older ones.
Yes,
Of course.
that's the thing. Yeah.
What do you do with the older ones? If they're not good at English and maybe they even feel embarrassed, maybe they understand better than they
Exactly.
tell you, but they just cannot talk, or they don't dare to talk, but they understand what you're saying. I think it is good to do it through having translated emails. And worst case, when you come to a important meeting, even have it translated.
And even if Germany is one of the most important countries, target countries, then probably to hire an assistant or someone then who knows a lot about your business and also knows the language. So let's say I have my website, maybe e-commerce website, or producing prints on something. If it's in local language, in German language, but I am not able to provide customer service or the sales work then in German language, is that acceptable in Germany? I had that question from Scandinavia mostly. Is that acceptable that the front end is all in German language, but if the customer, is it B2B or B2C? I guess there is like no brainer, it has to be German. But B2B, can it be then in English?
I would check it individually. It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes happens that your product is being used by a specialist, like really deep specialist who does not speak English. So it happened in the Baltic or in the Eastern Europe. You have a problem. You can have a deep specialist who only speaks Russian, but not English. Would also happen as second language or third language. You need to check it with the person you're working with somehow. Yeah. And what I would want to see in terms of dependability is that you care not only selling, but you care of making it usable.
Yes.
They do sense if you are only about first impression or if you are about being fit for their purpose.
I see.
How does this product or whatever you do integrate into what they want to do? Is it actually helpful for that? And then language is one aspect of that. I cannot say it's not acceptable. They need to see that you care if it is.
There are countries, smaller countries like Denmark or Sweden, or where the locals speak really good English, right? And you can definitely go to them in English. But even if your English is bad also, how can we have a long-term relationship and work really together? And how can I be sure that you always understand that communication is smooth? While there are other cultures where they would say, it doesn't matter, somehow we can get through it. Is Germany in between, or rather on that side where they want to see that the communication will be smooth?
The product needs to be spectacular to make Germans to put up with that.
So it's down to the product. So very good. But language is such a big question. That's why I'm really talking a lot about it, and I put lots of emphasis on it. So let's talk about the homepage. There are statistics that say, let's say in Northern Europe, that 67% of the population would not buy from a website that is not in their native language.
Can I?
Yes.
I just had a thought to your last question, if it's okay to interrupt you.
Okay, sure.
Because I just realized myself, if the product is really spectacular, they are willing to put up with something.
Yes, that's what I read.
Difficulties. And the reason is, first you need to show it is spectacular, and it could be spectacular in Germany also. If you are not good in German, or you see possibly a language barrier, then they see an opportunity in it and maybe put in some effort on their side to overcome the language barrier.
Nice. Yes.
Because when a great product doesn't spread, it's because of the language barrier.
Actually, it is an issue. So many deals are not done in the world because of the language barrier. That's it. Yeah.
I just wanted to nuance my thing. Okay, don't do this with German. And just, it works out somehow. Yeah, this is really not a good idea. But the language barrier could be an explanation why it's not already there. And then you can flip even that weakness into a strength.
I understand. Nice. Okay, we go back to the websites also. When it comes to B2B websites, should they be also in German language?
It depends on the complexity of the product to make it useful.
Okay.
In the end, somebody buys something in order to make something with it. So he has a purpose. It was to achieve something, whatever it is. Can I take this product and make it useful to me? And how easy is it to make it useful to me for my purpose? Relating to the website, how important is it that I understand something in detail? Then definitely German. If it is a toy, maybe it's not so important. So it applies to the product itself, and it applies to the communication information about the product. Is it fit for use? Is it fit for my purpose as a customer? And the degree of fitness, language is just one aspect in this. And for some products, they probably couldn't care less. No? But for some products, is it important to make it useful in their life, in their production? If yes, German.
I have a question, last question about language. Promise. So when it comes to B2C, are there areas in Germany that would be annoyed if I only do B2C communication in English only?
You mean geographical areas?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Geographical. It can be like, is it urban versus rural? Is it south versus west? Bigs? Yeah.
Of course, if you have cities like Munich, Hamburg, Berlin, Düsseldorf, there's a greater tolerance for English language. Tolerance, a greater
acceptance,
greater normality, acceptance.
Yes. Yeah.
Than on the countryside. Yeah. But I don't think this is like really important. It's more the complexity of the product.
Okay. Cool. Should I go to Germany? Should I visit Germany before actually starting to contact people and targeting Germany as my new market?
A recommendation, if one should visit before one starts marketing, it depends again on one's own resources. What reasons? I wouldn't anybody recommend to say you have to have been in Germany before you start selling. That's not a good idea. In general, I think it's definitely a good idea to go there. And this is true for any country, like any country. It's not for Germany. And if somebody says, if a German potential customer asks, have you been in Germany? Don't just say, no, I don't think it's necessary. You wouldn't answer that way.
Right.
You would say, no, but I'm really looking forward to a reason to come there.
Right.
That's a completely different thing. If you don't give it a touch of, you ignore or dislike or keep an emotional distance to Germany. That, of course, doesn't get across well.
If the person feels completely indifferent about Germany as a country and the culture and the language and just wants to do money, is it like something that even matters for Germans? It's all about money. Or do they, maybe that person even doesn't really like the German culture. It can happen too, right? We like some cultures more than others, right? But big money is in play and it doesn't matter. Can you feel?
I'm sure there are such people.
Would you do business with a person who is, I have this product, it's a win-win project here. Too bad you're a German, but that would not probably happen.
Yes, it could work, actually. It could work. If a person can do that, that's fine. But I do remember I was in the 90s, I was a customer. Now I refer to Japanese again, where the CEO in a continental office in Germany had studied German literature, a Japanese who had studied German literature and was familiar with German poet Goethe and Schiller and things like that. And he just happened to have picked the beautiful parts of German culture. He was familiar with it and could quote it in an intelligent way. That was quite impressive. I remember as a customer, it increased my loyalty to that company.
Exactly.
It definitely did. If you, as somebody who wants to export to Germany, would be familiar with some part of German literature history and maybe have just read one book, when you have made an effort, some kind of an effort that you're serious about this. In the end, you're selling to humans.
When we talk more about building trust, now it's the first thing you have to do, right? What would kill the trust?
I think one of the things that Germans find irritating is being very interruptive. So if you say something, yeah, and so if the listener constantly pretends to already know what the person says, it gives an impression that when whatever product, when it comes to use, there will be continued blabber and interrupting.
I see.
So that would be, I think, in the first contact.
How should people address Germans? With the last name, Mr. How should I'm here in a Danish, Swedish environment. You just pretty quickly you go over to the first name, and it's very casual here.
Yeah.
About Germany.
I haven't lived there for a while, so I don't know how it is nowadays. But in B2B, I think it would be expected to start with the polite address, Herr und Frau, and that kind of thing, and Sie instead of you.
Yes.
Or du.
And the last name.
And the last name, yeah. You usually get into a more informal connection when you have been in the same bus tour, or if you have been in the same sauna, or if you have been on a hiking trip, or if you meet, there's in the Alps, there's a limit like 1,500 meters above sea level. So below 1,500 meters, it's surname. Above, it's the first name.
I see. I see. Actually, that leads me to a question that in some countries or some cultures, deals are not done or made before you have been at least had dinner together, but preferably having some drinks together. And other cultures, you never get to that far. All the deals are done behind the office desks. How about Germany? Go hiking. Then if you get to go hiking with the person, you know, the decision maker, does that make things easier or it doesn't really matter?
I think it definitely makes things easier. In the end, if we come back, the word trust, when you look at the roots, the etymology, the history of the word, of trust and truth, actually have a common ancestor, and that is dependability.
Right.
So when you get closer to a person,
Yeah.
there is the aspect of liking and disliking and maybe having same values or not. This is one thing. But the other thing, and this is also, again, I think an international thing, but it also works in Germany, is if you get closer to a person, the person becomes more predictable because you understand the person better. It's just that you understand the person better.
Good.
It's not if you, for example, or dislike cats or dogs. It's about, this is how cats work.
Yeah.
If they wave with the tail, maybe they're angry. Dogs are happy. So going on a hike together means what irritates that person, what that person likes, and all these things. Because nobody expects everybody to like the same stuff that I like. It's not the point. But if you want to get into a business partnership, you want the person to be predictable. And the testing of that trustworthiness is different in different cultures. And it could be in Germany, it also could be Oktoberfest. And they just want to see you dead drunk and see, are you wild? Or are you crazy? Or are you dancing on the table? Or whatever you do. And what you do there is totally fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Within limits.
Yes.
It's not the point what you do, but the point is they get to know you better. And that includes the weaknesses. And that makes, from their perspective, makes the partnership more dependable.
Yeah.
So finding ways that increase trust, not to verify and same values and everything, but to just getting to know each other.
Good. Is it easy to get a German, whatever position person to a hike?
Is that the kind of the first thing necessary? And again, also it depends on the product.
Yes, of course. How is the hierarchy system? Is it important in the business setting in Germany? Who's
Yes,
the
I
boss and
think
who's...
Scandinavian organizations are quite flat,
Yeah.
relatively
Yeah.
flat. Yeah,
Yes.
and the Germans are more hierarchical. Yes, that usually has the effect that in hierarchical systems you often can make faster decisions, and they are also willing to make difficult decisions. While in Scandinavian companies, that it takes time to get some kind of a consensus. It takes a little longer. It's less friction in it. Everybody agrees. So in these organizations, you have somebody here and here who actively sabotages it, more or less, and
I
kind of
see.
work against that. So yes, Germany is more hierarchical, but not as much as France.
I see.
France is sometimes can be hierarchical just for the sake of being hierarchical.
Okay.
Are more hierarchical because they have a feeling it gets done faster.
Okay. I see.
It's not about the status. Another thing in the hierarchies in Germany is, I would say at least until 10 years ago, for sure, the hierarchies are more competence hierarchies than pure power hierarchies. That means you don't have people high up in the hierarchy who are just there for a reason that are unrelated to competence.
I see.
And this is an advantage, I think.
I guess. How,
Yeah.
let's say, when it comes to decision making, I understand now, or at least you should maybe explain a little bit more, the decision making process comparing to, let's say again, Northern Europe and maybe Asia. Is it effective and fast, or is it rather slow?
It again depends complexity product. They do check with their specialists if not the top boss is like the biggest specialist. So they do check, and that takes some time. It is not compared to Scandinavia where they try to create some kind of a consensus before something happens. It is more that the top actually can make a decision and doesn't care if everybody likes it. It just then pushes it through.
I see.
That can be even more extreme in America compared. Somebody makes a decision and then you do it or else you're out.
Okay.
It's not like that in Germany, but you do have the top making decisions where there is not necessarily a consensus. It
I
can
see.
be an advantage. It makes it a little faster, but it can take longer time to implement it because there's resistance. I have worked with Swedish companies or Swedish daughter companies in Germany. And one of the classic troubles when I had to deal or help them, that was that in Sweden, you have always this consensus, and you have the CEO asks everybody, what do you think? And it say, okay, be honest, talk about it. And they talked about it, and they talked about it, and talked about it, and nothing happened. And after a while, the German employees got really annoyed with the Swedish CEO because they were used to somebody making a decision and them executing it. So after a while, there was a mutiny in the office in Berlin. It's literally a mutiny, and saying, can we get rid of this guy, this Swedish guy? Because we don't understand, what does he want?
Yes.
What you want? So they kind of
Can be
Oh,
difficult.
And when I talked to him, we're just discussing, checking out what people think. And he had a habit in his communication which made the discussions never ending. So that added to the problem.
I think. But actually, it can be a little bit different in different Scandinavian countries, though. And Sweden is the most extreme example. So Danes, they are actually leaning towards Germany more, so it goes faster and more concrete. Yes,
I agree.
But
Danes are less complicated. Yes.
yeah, for you guys. Yeah, true. So interesting. How do Germans express the disagreement or negative decision? Are they trying to save the face of the message receiver, or are they fully direct about it, or how is it? Do you agree with me, or you disagree with me, actually? Or are you trying to soften it for me?
The older generation, no, they don't try to soften it
I
so
see.
much. The younger generation don't offend, and the Germans, they can be quite brutal in it, but brutal means it doesn't mean they don't like you. They just think that's a bad idea.
Exactly.
And maybe come to the conclusion you should be in a different business.
Right.
And they can say this.
Exactly.
Yeah, you should be prepared to not be offended about it. And because they don't mean bad. It's just, it sounds bad because they have this serious face why they say it, but it's just what they're thinking at this point. And if you're offended, they're just thinking, what? You asked.
It's
So,
normal. It's not nothing personal. It's just the opinion, but it can be a bit difficult to receive for some cultures where messages are backed up beautifully.
yes.
Yeah.
There's a German difference between Germans and Austrians, for example.
I
Germans,
see. Okay.
they're a lot more charming. They are very charming, and what they mean is "fuck you," but what they say it sounds "let's have a coffee."
I see. Yeah.
And the German, yeah, it can be different.
Dutch people and Danes, they're pretty well known for being really direct about their
Yes,
feelings. While Swedes are taking it like soften things up really
soften
carefully.
things up. But this also has to do with the phase of the business relation,
Okay.
because once you have a closer partnership
Yes. Then you
and
don't want
with
to.
each other, it gets a little softer. A
Yeah.
little softer because they care more about your sensitivities.
Yes.
So the brutalness might be in the beginning when they don't care so much about it, it can be a bit tougher.
Nice. Interesting. That's good. That's good to know. We are, the time is pretty much up. I just want to, can you answer that question as you have been away from Germany for quite a while? Try to think it more generally, and also you are a German, and think how you feel about it. Is German consumer open for new and exciting, or are they rather conservative?
Conservative would be well, a certain carefulness. It's again about dependability and reliability. It is an important thing. When you have a product in your shop and you know what it is, that means it's dependability for what I want to use it. So if something new comes in, there is a certain category of people, and I don't know how big that would be in Germany, but there's a certain category of people saying they buy it because it is new.
Yes.
And they exist in Germany, of course, also. So there is this eager to find out something new, and then there is the one just needs to be dependable, conservative or not. Dependable is a better thing. And if a new product, for some reason, manages to ooze, to communicate just by the way it is, that it is dependable, they will also take something new.
I see. They are still a little bit open for this.
Yeah, it's not hopeless.
It's not hopeless. Nice.
Definitely.
It actually does lead me to, because Germany is a pot of different nationalities, honestly. There is lots of different kind of people, or people from different cultures and countries, all together living in the same country. And that also, of course, opens for different types of services and products and so on to export to the country. That means also that decision makers can be from different backgrounds, not only German, of course. Do you feel that people who have another background but German nativeness, do you feel that the decision-making process or the mindset is still a German way? Or can we count with, okay, if that person is from, let's say, from South America, I can maybe go with another approach to that person? Or do you feel there is a possibility for that? Or is it individual or something?
Definitely. But in the business world, now I'm talking B2B man now, okay, in the business world, there is this core of dependability. And if somebody has worked in the German environment for a longer time, the dependability is something important. And then their own ethnic background can add how to communicate it.
Yes.
But an Englishman will always make a joke around it somehow. Or I don't know,
Yes.
an Italian will always flirt or something. I don't know. The attempt of buying something that is dependable, it's a survival factor in German economy.
I see.
Has made it extremely resilient, no matter what politicians they have. That has made them very strong. Usefulness and dependability of the product. And when somebody with another ethnicity works in this environment for a while,
Yeah.
it is some adopt it anyway. For example, Iranian people, for example, it's part of their culture in some sense also, or Korean also. So it's not foreign to them, but this central kind of thing, it needs to be dependable. I think that is more expressed in Germany and colors everything. Yeah. But of course, then you have individual with their ethnicity and then can approach them in their way. Yes, definitely.
Right. Nice. Interesting. Thank you. Is there anything you would like to point out that I should have asked or we should be talking about? It is important to know either to avoid failures or to do better, raise the chances to succeed entering the German market or finding the partners, the first partners there. But it's the hardest step.
The word consistency comes to mind,
Yes.
that there is a certain consistency in what you do. You say something, you do it. Don't promise too much. Do it consistently. People start believing that you mean what you say. You really want to get into this market.
Yeah.
You really want to get into this. Okay, I got it. Okay, he really wants to. He actually wants to. Actually willing to fight through a little resistance. It's fine. It does not mean that you should answer unreasonable questions and do unreasonable things for somebody who is a potential customer who is not really serious. You can work yourself to death, but that person is not really serious. So you need to qualify your people. Where do you want to invest your effort? But the word consistency and a certain persistence, I think, is particularly important in Germany, and it pays off. Once you get through that phase, then it takes off and you have a good and reliable relationship.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Now I know. Now I know how to get to the German market. I learned so much today. It's really interesting. I have been to Germany many times in my life, and I've spent there actually months and months, to be honest, in Berlin and places, yes. But I still learn. Very good. Thank you so much.
Does
Yes,
it make sense with your experience, or is there something
it
that
does.
it does? Okay.
It does make sense. There were a few surprises, not too huge, of course. And again, as I have lived and worked and studied and so on in Denmark for many years, and also close to the German border. So I had these expectations how it is anyway too, and many of them were confirmed. It was very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Yes. So next time I come to Estonia, we go for a coffee. No hiking. We have no mountains.
No,
All
okay,
right.
we do that.
Thank you so much.